Yeah, Perfect Plex Radio. We about to go live on them. Hey, Mr. Main Event, B-Dub, Mike Knoxxx. That's with 3 X's cause he's hardcore. Are y'all ready? I go by the name Fred Knoxxx. We about to give y'all something special. You ready? Let's go! At the money, now you're wrong, what you getting in? Perfect Plex Radio, got them listening. Mr. Main Event, B-Dub and Mike Knoxxx. Got this blog talk radio, it's on lock. From CENA to the Rock, or whatever wrestler is hot. News and interviews, it's a one-stop shop. We go live every Monday after Raw. So get on the net and log on to blogtalkradio.com/the game V1. Matter of fact, let me give you more choices. You could call in and be the voice with the voiceless. So what you waiting on? Let's get it cracking. Let's talk wrestling, that's enough rapping. Perfect Plex Radio, simply perfect.
I know who we have on the line right now.
Let's do it.
People, do me a favor. As I scroll through my music, because that's how it needs to go. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is how we do it here on Perfect Plex Talk Radio, part of the best damn show on radio networks. Stand on your feet for Scotty Riggs! Woo! What's going on, Scotty?
Oh, it's a good Monday night, my friend. How you guys doing?
Listen,
good, Scotty. It's an honor and pleasure to have you on the show. Dude, it's a pleasure to be here. Like I told you last week when we first chatted, and you were actually going to make me watch Raw tonight. It's actually one of the first Raws I watched, and got to witness probably one of the best wrestling matches between CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, Daniel Bryan and the return of the Taker. So, dude, you made my night by making me do that just to be a little bit more updated for you cats. So I want to say thank you because you made my night pleasurable.
All right, well, we thank you as always for joining here the program. And Scotty, I just want to go ahead and ask away. So when was the last time you watched wrestling before the night?
To be honest, every now and then I'll especially when we start football season, I'll be honest with you, I'm always watching Monday Night Football or college ball or anything. But I will flip on every now and then in commercials to see what's going on. And as a fan, unfortunately, I've been educated to kind of, you catch 1 minute of what's going on, you kind of have a feeling for what's going on with the whole deal. And that kind of takes away some of the surprise for me. It's like with the Kiss My Ass thing tonight. As soon as I saw Triple H talk about anything, I went, I have a feeling what this might lead up to, but didn't know it would lead up to The Undertaker. And I still think the best word we used tonight on Raw was the word freak when Triple H called out and said, "You're a freak."
Right.
That tripped my mind out. But usually I'll try to catch TNA. RBD is a great friend of mine. Been since like 92, 93 we first met and started wrestling on Independence together with promoter named Greg Price. All across Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, Florida, Tennessee, you named it. And we wrestled each other a lot in good guy versus good guy matches. And we also wrestled as a tag team a lot. And so me and Rob have kept together for, almost 20 years now. And he will either send me a text or call me and say, "Man, I got a great match coming up." Like when he kicked the business teeth out on the show, he called me up and said, "Dude, man, I know I've heard you before, and you got to see this kick I hit a miss with." And dude kept his teeth out, didn't even put them back in. So I'll get a call from Rob and say, he'll tell me to catch the show, to catch a match of his and see what's going on. And so that's normally how I try to keep up with things nowadays.
Oh, Mr. Riggs, this is Mr. Main Event Brian Waters here. My biggest question, one of my first questions.
Mr. Main Event, I dig that name. Someone's like Mr. Wonderful.
Thank you. How was it when you were in the flock? Were you guys outside, off the television? Did you guys really bond together as a unit? On TV, you guys had the image that you guys were like lost and Raven was your savior. How was it behind the scenes working with those guys?
We actually bonded very, very well together. I still remember the first time I met Perry Saturn. I thought he wanted to kill me. We were in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he'd come in. We were at the Marriott hotel there, and he was in the room with Raven. I walked in, and Perry didn't say a word to me. And I was thinking, this is kind of scary because, I just didn't even know the guy. And then all of a sudden, once you break that first show with him, we became instant friends. Kidman was already a good friend with Billy. Lodi, he was an easy guy to get to know. Sick Boy, me and him became great friends. We played golf together numerous times. It was ridiculous. He actually lives pretty close to me in Hilton Head.
Now, how's your golf game?
So, before I fractured my left elbow, I actually was pretty good. Me, Lex, Marcus, and Stinger used to always travel together and bring our clubs, especially when we did our Orlando TV tapings. We would play golf at least 3-4 times a week when we were down there. I've been very, very blessed to play with Larry Zbyszko, Pat Patterson, if you remember the old WWF era.
Yeah.
Pat Patterson, him and me, Lex, and Pat's husband Louie, who passed away, played golf, and we actually had this is how well I was playing that day. We actually had tied them up on the golf course. And so we went to the putting green. She was going to, have to buy drinks afterwards. And Pat Patterson, of all people, walks up behind me, just met the man, pantses me in front of everybody because I was wearing those, like, Zuba black pants, pantses me in front of everybody on the golf course. I'm sitting there with my underwear just hanging there, and I'm just going, great. But I did make my putt, and they didn't have to buy drinks.
Now,
that's how good my golf game used to be.
Well, let me ask you this one. Because I'm just dying to know. We've had your former tag team partner on the show, Marcus Bagwell, and he told us a story about how he got his shirt from the NWO. When all that came about, how did you feel about that situation? Because from what he said to us on this show, this is nothing I'm making up. I heard it from his words exactly. When that whole transition was going down, he went to Sting and said, "Hey, where's my shirt? I feel like I'm being left out." What did that place you, and how was you feeling when that transpired?
Well, I mean, in one point, me and Marcus had great chemistry as a tag team. I mean, it was very weird. It was like when with Raven in the flock there, I met Raven in '94, I think it was, an independent show when he was doing Scotty Flamingo, and we had chit-chatted a bunch of shows and kind of became friends. So when me and Raven became friends as part of the flock, it was very easy chemistry. Me and Marcus had very, very great chemistry in the ring. We didn't have to say a word to each other, and we already knew what we wanted to do when I tagged him in, or if, for a double team move or something like that. We'd have to look at each other and know what was coming up without saying a word. When we wrestled against each other, it was the same way. So for me to look at Marcus with his chance to go to the NWO, I thought it was a really good thing for him because he had been a good guy for so long, a babyface as you would call it, that if he could really be a heel, it would shoot his career through the roof. And it did to a point, but unfortunately, as much as I love my brother Marcus, Buff is a jerk. Marcus is like a brother to me, but when he's Buff, he's a jerk. We actually left him at a building one night because he was walking around being buffed to everybody, and Lex, Sting, and myself just were like, this is ridiculous. We can't even put up with this anymore because he's driving us nuts. When we talked to him, we said, dude, be Marcus. Be Buff when you're on camera, but be Marcus when you're on us. And, part of that helped him, and I thought he would have got a great, much bigger push as Buff. But unfortunately, he went straight into a tag team with Scott Norton as Vicious and Delicious. I was like, man, that just he lost his whole persona that he could have had as a singles wrestler because he's been tag team forever.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see him succeed because I thought it would, it would also help, because I knew we would end up having a feud, even though I found out we were actually having our first match from his girlfriend at the gym. She walks up to me and she goes, you got Marcus that sold out in Cedar Rapids. I was like, do what? And it was like, no way. I was like, I didn't even know about it. And then Marcus had just found out about it, told her, and I had to have to bump into her on her way out, and she told me about it. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And I don't know if Marcus told you this, his blockbuster finish, I actually created that for him and gave it to him that night to use for his finish and for the night at that pay-per-view. And so he took that into a good thing. So I wanted to see him succeed, and I think he did to a point.
Mr. Riggs, let me ask you this. What was the locker room like when Bret Hart arrived? Bret being one of my favorites of all time. What was it like when he arrived?
Bret actually, to my own surprise, because he was such a huge legend even in my eyes when he first came in, I was in catering, and out of nowhere, Bret comes walking over, comes to me and goes, Scotty, can I sit down with you and eat lunch? I was like, yeah. It blew my mind. First, he knew my name, but it blew my mind that he sat down. And this is where Bret was. Bret took the chance with every person that was almost on the roster to sit down and spend time with them, to say hello, to get to know. That's how much professional and how much, excellence of execution, I guess you could say, that he had in his persona, that he wanted to get to know everybody. He was telling me, he goes, dude, I watched you for a while. He goes, you got one of the best drop kicks I've ever seen. He goes, you can either get up to a 6'8" guy and hit him in the face, or you can take a 5'10" guy right in the mud. He goes, don't matter. You can get up there and hit him. And I said, dude, thanks. I appreciate it. And I was actually dumbfounded that he knew more about me than I even would figure. And so that's how much I respected him, that he studied the game to a point that it was really, really good. And Bret actually probably could have played a much bigger political card if he wanted to, but he didn't even do that, and that's why you probably, you saw him get the little run here, little run there. They were really used right. In his time in WCW, Eric Bischoff just, thought he'd grab a big name from Vince, offer him a ton of money, did, and then just went, okay, we got him, now I can use him any way I want to. Bischoff was a big flub in that way.
Now, Scott, being that you've been around a while, you made your debut, from what I've read anyway, in 92, okay?
February 6th of 92 is my first match in a small town of Bowden, Georgia, in front of about maybe 100 people.
Yeah.
I did a run-in on the match and hit a guy with a shoe, caused him to lose. And the very next week, which was February 6th, I wrestled that same guy.
Now,
so
why do you think? Why haven't you made the transition to maybe TNA or had a stint inside the WWE?
Well, basically, I went to ECW after WCW closed.
Right.
ECW closed. They did a huge run on the talent and everything else that WWF guys wanted, and they were offering them very, very low money and, with very, very little promise. And I'd even talking to, I'd spoken to Van Damme about things, and he was like, dude, he goes, this is not where you want to be. He goes, I hate it here. The thing for me is I've got lucky, I got a good contract, good this, good that.
And that was where it, and what federation was
that was one of the things that to me, and even I had discussions with Jim Ross, and Jim Ross was like, you're an excellent wrestler, but you just don't have the persona or the character that we want to have here in WWE. And I respect him for saying that. He told me, you're a great wrestler. But the thing is, do you look at it now,